Yo guys, welcome to the last lap. Don't forget to drop a lovely, juicy 5-star rating if you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Hope you enjoy, and let's get into it. What do we make of Piastri so far, actually? Because there was so much talk of Piastri coming into this year because of all of the leaving Alpine drama. And I don't know, I feel like so many races now. Apparently Piastri had brake issues. This race, Lando got hit at the back as well. We don't know if maybe that curtailed his performance somewhat. We've had, 2 races outside of that where both cars have had issues. Mm-hmm. Well, the first 2 races of the season. We didn't really get to see their performance. Even Baku, Lando was on the wrong tyre in the sprint, and then he was stuck in a train in the race. Yeah. And Piastri was ill.
Piastri was in the same train, just like further back.
He apparently had only 4 slices of toast that weekend because he had so much food poisoning.
Yeah, he was.
Jeez,
was
man. Just dry.
He was in
as well.
Bits. Yeah,
no
butter.
It's not been
just Weetabix.
Weetabix with butter.
It's not been the easiest start for Oscar, is it? Let's just put it like that.
And I think also we got to remember as well. He's also with De Vries as well. We do need to remember they are still rookies. We need to give them a bit of have a season to adapt to it a little bit. We're almost giving them so much criticism as if they've been racing for years, as it were. And I know they've been competitive in F2 and other series, but at the same time for Oscar, it's a new team and he's just trying to work out, how to get maximized from this car and also figuring out it's a different style of racing, of course, from an F2 to an F1. Yeah. And they've obviously done some stuff with Alpine, but when you're racing it competitively compared to just doing a tyre test or what have you, it's completely different. From personally, I think he's actually been doing quite a good job in comparison to Lando. But I can't tell if we were to look at the comparison when it was back with Ricciardo, if that was, Lando just really maximizing the package and Daniel just having a real struggle with the braking, or if this season now, and it's more on how the car has been worked from McLaren, if both of them are now struggling. Because openly, I'll admit that saying that obviously Lando's always going to have the advantage because he's been there, it's the only car he's ever driven in F1. But then with Oscar, because you're young, you can adapt to cars a lot more easier as opposed to say a senior coming in.
Well, he has done his whole career because he's won everything. When he's gone from F3 to F2, he's won F2. When he's gone, so he is an adaptable driver. He's able to just get in a car, it's got more power and go, okay, I'm sick in this as well.
Yeah.
So the fact, I agree. I think he's done relatively well. I know today, obviously, he's miles off, but might have had a problem. He said he had. But if you look at Jeddah, beat Lando in qualifying. Well, obviously, Lando kind of bottled it a little bit. But generally speaking, had a decent weekend there. Had it not been for damage and stuff like that, and I think he's just been super unlucky.
Yeah,
mad problems in Bahrain, mad problems in Jeddah. But overall, pace-wise, I haven't looked at him and gone, fuck, man, you're 10.
And we got to remember as well when they were in when they both got into the points. I think he was P10 and Lando was P8.
Australia.
Yeah, that's where they he was close enough to capitalize on what happened in front of him. And the one time when McLaren were able to get the points, he was at least able to get the last one there.
The thing is, that is literally. I mean, they have scored points outside of that, right? Or have they not?
No, I don't think so.
Not recognizable.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I think also it's important to remember that you guys don't get, or the rookies nowadays don't get as much testing as they did back then, or back in the days of
Lewis. 3 days now, isn't it? Wasn't it?
Yeah, mate.
It's nothing.
It used to get about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Everyone would go Silverstone for
a whole season's worth of.
Yeah, I mean, how are you supposed to understand? It's a completely different, challenge, and in and of itself. So those first couple of races, you're learning as you do it. You're learning through experience, not necessarily. You're just doing laps around the track, and it's different. I mean, they probably do laps in the sim, but it's not the same. It's
That's more understanding your lines and car setup basically without the GPS.
Yeah. Really. Do we think any part of Oscar? Because look, we've had 5 races this year. He chose McLaren over at least a year at Williams, and then potentially onto Alpine from there. Yeah. And right now, you could say the Williams is just as quick as the McLaren, if not quicker. I think McLaren, their position in the constructors spoils them. I think they've been a worse car than a lot of cars around them. I think that they've not impressed me as much as I don't think they merit BMP6 and the points they've got. Do we think Oscar feels any, especially with all these changes going on in the background? Obviously, Key's out as well. I don't know. I know Alpine are perennial kind of underachievers, I feel like, but is it just a sidestep? Kind of Ricciardo made that sidestep to McLaren. It didn't work. I feel like Ricciardo should have definitely stayed at Renault. Like he could have really built that team around.
100%.
That's the big stinker move for me. Not even leaving Red Bull. Like it's leaving Renault because he had something there.
No, I agree.
Like Piastri now, I don't know. I know it's 5 races in, but
I honestly reckon no for that. Just because if I was to have the choice between McLaren or Williams, I would always go to McLaren. Just because, although both teams have a huge heritage there and a good kind of infrastructure, I would always rank McLaren over because they've had...
McLaren they're not backing it up though.
Yeah, but they've had the more recent success, whereas Williams haven't.
They have, but also they're on the downturn.
I think if, hindsight is always 2020, right? So if you look at, there was a lot of promise, especially after 21 when they had their first win, and then kind of fell off not fell off necessarily, but, they weren't as good as they were, they had their peak in 2021.
Who got that win in 2021 from McLaren?
I think it was like...
wasn't it the year Pierre Gasly won? I suppose.
It was Raniel.
Daniel Ricciardo.
Someone just got paid off like 80 million something from McLaren. Maybe that's the reason why McLaren not doing that well. It's my boy. He's ruined it for everyone.
He did what Ricciardo did to Lotus. Raikkonen did to Lotus. And when he kept winning, it was like, oh, please stop. We can't afford. They still owe Raikkonen money,
He's parred them off apparently.
But they still technically
they still do, but
which is now Renault, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, what was the story behind that?
So it was Raikkonen got for every point
he got.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. That's the worst contract clause I've ever heard.
That's a big deal. That's like the type of thing you do when you're like drunk in a pub or something.
Because it was
every point you get
the back of a coaster.
Obviously, fairly brand new team, and they just wanted a big star driver to come on board.
Right, yeah.
And they were like, we can't really promise that you're going to get like good results. So every point that you do get, then we're going to give you like, I can't remember the figure for it was now, like 100,000 or something stupid like that.
You carry on talking, I'll find.
But then effectively, obviously Raikkonen jumps into the Lotus. I think
that's actually not bad, isn't it? When did he join? Was it 2012?
2011,
I think. And obviously just drove the arse off the car and got like multiple podiums, a few wins, I think, as well. I think that's the same year was that the same year with Grosjean? Yeah.
Grosjean actually, I think, he went back to GP2 in 2011 and then came back in 2012.
Grosjean,
they got one podium together, but I think it might be later
Grosjean's
on.
crashing season was 2012, and then he actually slapped it in 2013.
So basically then Raikkonen just performed the hell out of Lotus, really put them onto the mark of it. It reminded me of a bit when Haas first came back into the sport. I think Tommo's got the stats now.
So this is 2012.
Wonderful.
Raikkonen scored 390 points. And he was promised to be paid 50,000 euros per point, which is 19.5 million.
Oh my god!
Written into his contract.
Oh my god!
Bag secured.
It reminds me of like it reminds me of the Nike deal with Jordans. Was it Jordans? Where like
Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Was it with that? I think it was that deal where they, to get him to sign the deal, they were basically saying like the Air Force or whatever, the first shoe they made, he gave like, okay, well, every shoe you get a certain percentage, and obviously then it was the biggest shoe that Nike ever done, and then that's how he's made his millions and stuff. So
dodgy contracts galore.
But then obviously he could have obviously got taken into court to be all that lot. So I think he's now parred it off.
Yeah, he has. He's letting. I mean, he's got enough money.
He's basically they gave him the actual race car for whatever it is, and then like he does whatever.
It's just, I don't know. I feel like maybe it is too soon. I mean, Alpine, they look good this weekend in Miami. They were shocking last weekend, and I don't know. I just feel like maybe we'll see with Piastri. We still haven't seen enough. Still haven't seen enough from him or Lando. Haven't really been able to prove that much. But I think another driver, obviously, you mentioned him earlier, Matt. Nick De Vries did outqualify Yuki this weekend, but still finished well off at the back. Quite a sizable, more than 10 seconds, definitely, to Yuki in the end.
He was, 18th, wasn't he?
Yeah. What do we make of, because like you said, and because Mr. Formula E, obviously, the good work he did in FE. We were talking before.
The work he did, yeah.
Well, that's the thing, because he did win a Formula E championship. He did win an F2 championship, but
Well, he won it. He didn't. Yeah,
He did win it, but
he won.
He was very fortunate.
Yeah, he was very. It's very much like, oh, we're gonna have a race and someone trips over. Oh, I've still won it, but yeah, someone's fallen. Yeah, it was basically handed to him because someone's car broke down.
Well, Mitch Evans just didn't start, and then F2
Well,
wasn't. You were going through the F2 grid he was up against.
Oh, lads, no, genuinely, guys, it's the worst Formula 2 grid you've ever seen in your life. I'm so sorry to anyone who was involved in that Formula 2 season. To be fair, there were some good drivers in it, but they just didn't finish in like anywhere near the top 8. Mick Schumacher, it was his
Sorry, you
first
said good
season.
drivers, right?
Average drivers. There were some all right drivers in it. But yeah, I think he won the championship. The GOAT himself, Nicholas Latifi, was in fact P2. P3, I want to say was. I literally read it out earlier and I've forgotten. Was it Sete Camera? No, Giotto. Luca Giotto was third. I think he does sports car stuff now. Sete Camera, fourth.
Yeah.
Jack Aitken was fifth. And then Nobuharu Matsushita was sixth. Yeah. So anyone outside the top 2 never graduated. Or never really got anywhere near graduating.
Well, look at the pedigree of those drivers relative to other.
Yeah, I mean, not a single one of those got actually ever like seriously linked to an F1 seat.
No.
At all.
Yeah. One got an FE seat, and then the Jack Hagan has done a lot of stuff with WEC.
Yeah, he does sports car stuff as well.